Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, we have the next storm system coming out of the southern plains and heading straight east for the mid Atlantic coast. And that's bringing severe weather and heavy rain across the south. And it will eventually bring deteriorating conditions to the northeast and mid Atlantic states. So that's all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Flood watches are up this morning from East Texas across Louisiana, especially into southeast Louisiana, southern Mississippi, eastward into southwest Georgia. We have an overnight severe thunderstorm watch that's running through this morning for areas in eastern Mississippi, southeastern Mississippi, southern Alabama, down to the Florida Panhandle. Otherwise, the weather across much of the country, at least from the standpoint of watches and warnings, is on the quiet side, and we can see some active thunderstorms running west to east through central Louisiana into southern Mississippi. Not much going on right along the immediate coast at the moment. That's likely to change later today. In the northeast, a little bit of patchy cloudiness for now, intermixed with clear skies. So the day should start off with some sunshine, but we do have a bit of a warm front that is going by to our northwest, and that'll probably bring in some clouds later on today. But overall, the weather today from Maine down into South Carolina looks to be okay with no real issues. Those issues will start to come later tonight and then during tomorrow in the Northeast. You can see the rotation that is down in southern Kansas and Oklahoma. That next storm system, rather than taking a track well to the west or even not that far to the west to the Great Lakes and into New York State, is instead sliding straight to the east. And that's because we have a northern jet stream that's kind of suppressing everything. It also puts us in a place where we could see some gloom and doom type weather later Tuesday night, and Wednesday for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. You can see showers well to the northwest on the Canada side, some of them coming into western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania, and then on up to the Canada side of Lake Erie. Meanwhile, here in the U.S. and across the south, we've got an area of heavy rain and thunderstorms moving eastward through southern Mississippi, south central Mississippi, back into Louisiana, and then east into Alabama. There's some rain on the radar, at least aloft, showing up as far north as northwest Georgia, northern Alabama, and southern Tennessee. We also have around that upper low, we're seeing a rotation here on the radar and some showers and a few thunderstorms there. Not a whole lot happening up in the northwest. The Storm Prediction Center uh, for today, as we said, we do have a working severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect from southern Mississippi into the Florida Panhandle to the Alabama Georgia state line. The Storm Prediction Center today has an enhanced risk now of severe weather from South Texas into southeast Texas, southern Louisiana, and then in a narrow band there, southern Mississippi, southernmost Alabama to the Florida Panhandle. Slight risk to the north of that, and a marginal risk that pushes up as far north as southern Missouri and into central Georgia and a small portion of South Carolina. The tornado risk today is in that slight to enhanced zone of 2 to 5%. Right now, as far as tomorrow is concerned, we're looking at severe weather risk, which for now is marginal risk. Southern portions of North Carolina, southeastern Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida north, and getting down almost into central Florida. I would not be surprised if when we get there tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center adds an area of slight risk with some elevated tornado risk as well. Rain, the big story along the Gulf Coast, where we're looking at several to 6 inches of rain on top of what's already fallen from southeast Texas east to the Florida Panhandle. 2-inch rains extending as far north as southern Tennessee and into parts of North Carolina and South Carolina. These are 7-day rainfall amounts. Also, inch and a half plus rains in the middle Mississippi and Missouri Valley. In the Northeast, we're looking at anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to a few areas of an inch and a half, and those extend southward down into Maryland and northeastern Virginia. So as we mentioned earlier, the northern jet stream here, and this is going back to Friday, is pretty much in control. We had a couple of short waves move through over the weekend in the northeast. Now we have this southern system that is moving east. You can see there's a closed upper low in eastern Kansas this afternoon. There's also an upper low near James Bay. So when we look at how this upper air pattern is shaping up, that northern jet here is preventing this system from going northeast. It said it really can only go straight to the east, and that's a concern for the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states in the fact that with the storm system tracking to the south, it opens up an onshore flow eventually, and we'll see that happen probably Tuesday night and Wednesday as the upper low passes by to the south off the New Jersey coast. And as long as it doesn't linger around just offshore and just continues to slowly slide to the east, we should see some genuine weather improvement Thursday and for Friday. So at least the second part of the week winds up being a bit better, and it's just the middle that we have to deal with some problems. So again, a fairly nice day today overall. Sunshine, some patchy arriving clouds, upper 60s to low 70s. And then this warm front goes by to our north. We have a weak cold front approaching on Tuesday, so you can see a lot of showery rains in the eastern part of the United States back to the Ohio Valley, the heaviest rains along the Gulf Coast. And then that weak front passes. The low in southern Indiana redevelops in eastern North Carolina Tuesday night and then moves offshore. Rain is going to, from this is probably going to reach up to about New York City and Long Island before the low starts to slide to the east. Well, if the rain doesn't get further north than that, certainly some clouds will be around. There'll be lots of clouds around with the onshore flow. Might even get a bit on the breezy side along the New Jersey coast down into Delaware. And then by the time we get to Thursday morning, the low is still offshore, probably just offshore, probably some lingering clouds early. We should see some slow improvement as we go through the day on Thursday. Then Friday looks okay. And then we have another weather system coming out Friday night and Saturday, and that looks to bring some rain or showers later Saturday night into the first part of Sunday. Almost looks like a repeat performance of what we're going through for this week. So don't forget that tonight we've got the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We'll be talking about all of this and more, and that's at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So we hope to see you then.